Our teaching this morning is how our temperaments affect everything we do. How our temperaments, because one person can have more than one or two temperaments. That's why they call it secondary temperaments. How those temperaments affect everything we do, including how we sleep, how we eat, how we move around, how we relate with people, our spiritual life, our marital life, our business life, everything we do. Our temperaments has a way of affecting them. So we're here this morning to see how those temperaments affect everything we do. We said that we have a temperament called the sanguine, the choleric, the melancholy, and the phlegmatics. These are the four major temperaments. These are the basics. While we have the secondary, those that are a combination of either the sanguine and the choleric, or the choleric and the melancholy, or the phlegmatic combined with the sanguine. These are the secondary temperaments. So how do these temperaments affect all that we do? Do they affect them positively or negatively? Definitely is determined by the way you are aware of your temperaments. If you are aware of the type of temperaments you're made up of, you will be able to direct it. And when you direct your temperament, definitely your temperament will not affect you negatively. But if you allow your temperament to affect you, as in to direct you, definitely it will affect you negatively. And that is the reason why we are learning this in church. Because it affects the way we fellowship in church. It affects the way we, even in our school, you see twins, two people born of the same mother, born at the same day, they are having different scores in the same subject. So temperament goes a long way to affect everything we do. And if you don't understand someone's temperament, you will always be having problem with the person in church, in home. That's why some parents hardly control one or two of their children. They will say, if it's between me and this person, it's a no-go area. But if it's the other person, he or she listens to me. And why is one is the one listening and the other one doesn't listen? Because you don't understand this boy or this girl. And because of that misunderstanding between both of you, you will not help to maximize him or her, or his or her potentials. And that is how that child's potential will be wasted. So it's good we learn about temperament in church. Because church is a combination of different families coming together. And if we miss it at the family level, it will affect our church. It will affect the society where we belong to. If they want to correct this nation, man, they will start with the family level, enter the school level, the church level, before we get it right. If not, we will always be having problems. Seeing some leaders who doesn't know anything about their family life are the ones that are going to lead other families. You see them enacting certain laws that has no bearing to the family. So this morning we're looking at how our temperaments affect everything we do. I've told you all the things that we do, how we even come to church this morning. Our temperament played major roles. Yes, it played major roles. Sometimes you will be here and your temperament, just like what Paul says in Romans chapter 7 verse 8, he says, those things that he wants to do, he finds it difficult doing them because of the nature his parents has deposited in him. And when we read that Romans 18:25, he was saying that it was because of the sin nature in him. That is the religious way of putting it, sin nature. But when we come out from the general public, we look at it as temperament. You find out that why he is referring to it as sin nature is because he has been exposed to a Christian nature, a Christ-like nature. And Paul now is battling with it. Remember this, the Paul that was going around killing people, and he did not say that his sin nature was against him. That time he was thinking that he was doing the work of God. Now that he has been exposed to the teaching of Christ, he discovered that he was sinning. And when he wanted to stop doing those things that he called the sin, the evil that my father and my mother passed to me, he began to battle with it. So when we are exposed to light, which is the word of God, we begin to see our errors. We begin to see our faults. We begin to see where we're making mistakes. And that is why learning about temperament is important, because when you learn and know about your temperament, you will be able to allow the Spirit of God to control you. And when the Spirit of God controls you, we have what is called Spirit-controlled temperament. Spirit-controlled temperament. But when you don't allow the Spirit of God to control you, you will be the one doing your thing by yourself. And at the end of the day, you find out that you will always be having battle. We will be battling with things with you. Imagine when Paul was sending letter to Antioch to go and kill them. He want to go to Damascus to go and kill people. He want to go to Jerusalem and go and kill people. He is the one doing it by himself. But when he allowed the Spirit of God to control him, we began to see where Paul was writing that I am no longer ashamed of the gospel of Christ. The same Paul now began to write in Philippians chapter 3, when we read verse 13, we see where Paul was saying, I can do all things. Through who? Through Christ, who gives me strength. The same Paul that was present when they killed Stephen, is the one now that is saying, I'm no longer ashamed of the gospel of Christ. The same Paul now is saying that fight the good fight of faith. Before, which fight was he fighting? The fight of flesh. But this time, he is under the control of the Spirit of God. And he is now, the same, he did not change. It's the Spirit of God that is now controlling that strength in him to the work of this gospel. So that's why it's good for us to know. I said the other day that cholerics, those they call cholerics, because I've taken time to talk about the sanguine, that these people do have hot temper. This is what the type of temperaments that Moses belongs to. The same way with Paul. They do send themselves on an errand, even when nobody sends them. They see and perceive an idea in their head. They want to fight anybody that want to block the fulfillment of that idea. So that's what Paul was doing. The same thing happened to Moses. When Moses saw that an Egyptian killed Israelite guy, he went back and began to think, how will I do this? He called one of those Egyptians that killed the guy and killed him back. And said, next time kill one of my brothers again. And the people were like, in fact, Moses was like, if I can be picking the one after the other and be killing the one that will liberate the people of Israel from here. They sent themselves. When God saw that this guy is zealous about delivering his people, okay, I will use you. So he now sent him to go to the bush. Indirectly, Moses did not know that he was sent by God, because he ran away and stayed for 40 years in the wilderness. There he was humbled. He was able to learn certain things about being a shepherd. Till God now appeared to him in Exodus chapter 3, that through this burning bush. I'm trying to tell us the story of a choleric, one of the strongest cholerics that have passed through the surface of this world, called Moses. From being a shepherd, Moses was prepared to come and become the shepherd that led the people of Israel out of Egypt. So with that hot temper, he was still there. But this time, God is now controlling the temper. Remember, I'm talking about the spirit-controlled temperament. Yes. So sometimes God would like to control him. Sometimes Moses will also go outside the control of God. That's why when God told him, speak to the rock, so that the people who are following you that are complaining of water can drink water. Moses went, and because of that anger, and began to strike the rock. And that killed a lot of people. So when God was talking to him, he said, because of what you did, I think that place is called Meribah.
Kadesh.
Yes. So because of this thing you did, look at the place you are going to, but you will not get down there. So I prepared Joshua to take over. Now see how Joshua did it with his own temper, because we read that Joshua also fought. He killed a lot of people before he got the place. But this time, God did not just allow him to do it alone. He gave him ideas on how to plan. Remember I told you that cholerics also plan. They have a lot of ideas they want to achieve. They also plan. But when we get to the ones called melancholy, you find out that they plan more than the choleric. But we'll get there. I want us to finish the lesson this morning, so that next month we pick up a new topic. So this guy called Joshua this time planned. Even his fighting, he planned them until they were able now to enter Israel. The same thing happens to Paul. When Paul received Christ, he did not start teaching immediately. When Paul was going to kill people and Christ encountered him, or he encountered Christ, he spent some days. In fact, they had to baptize him, begin to teach him about Christ. So there is no way you can control your temperament by yourself without the word of God. That is the major point we need to take. There is no way you can control your temperament very well without the word of God. What's the difference between people like Hitler and people like Christ? Christ conquered the world with the word of God. But Hitler killed a lot of people without the word of God. He killed a lot of people, but the word of God was not used. He did not allow God to control him. But Christ conquered the word of God. As we read, you see a lot of people are giving their life to Christ on daily basis, because somebody used the word of God to teach. Even when they say, hey, Christ, why won't you use your power? Or in fact, let us you invoke God to kill these people that are coming after you. Say, no, there is no point doing that. Remember when John... the two brothers, James and John, suggested that to him. Let's just invoke the spirit of Elijah and we will burn these people. If he's a choleric, he would have said, you mean? Yes, I now. Or a spirit of Elijah, finish this people and then we just burn cruise. So that is how it is. We shouldn't allow the word of God to go away from us if we really want to be a spirit-controlled being. All right? So if you remember what Joshua said, in Joshua 1:8, he said, this word of the Lord, this book of the law shall not depart. That is, it's trying to tell you the secret behind being controlled. Yes. So if you are to go by the Spirit of God to control you, the word of God will not depart from you. And how will it not depart? You have to meditate day and night. He said, at the end of that verse, he said, that is how we achieve a good success. There are people who achieved bad success. There are people who achieved good success. So if you need good success, if you want to be controlled by the word of God, if you really want to be controlled by the Spirit of God, then the word of God will not depart from your mouth. Are we getting it? If not, being a choleric, they are one of the worst. I know why I'm saying so, because I'm one of them. At times our anger will make us do what, when we finish destroying something, we begin to regret why you do this. So when you are saying that somebody is angry, he's always angry, and is around you, bring the person close to the word of God, because that's the only thing that will bend him or her. And if the word of God takes control of that person, most of your battle, most of your night the prayers and most of your fasting and will be reduced. Because you have handed the person over to the word of God, who will now take charge. But if the fear of God is not on a choleric, it will do more than what is this guy that is leading Boko Haram doing? Shekau. If the Spirit of God is not in the person, if he has taken movement to call him or her back, it's not easy. So he will do more than what Shekau is doing. If he lead them here, their own is go, they don't here, come back. I know what I'm talking about. It's something that if it enters you, you won't eat. Anger will be boiling you, even when you did not eat since morning, you will be bellyful. I don't want to mention him. If they have gone, you hardly bring them back. Even when you are the one that armed them, You want to dress him, it's like you won't lose him, so he will leave you. So it's something we should be careful. If you give birth to a child that is hot-tempered, don't kill him or her. Don't continue to be reporting him to people. Be thinking of this anger that this boy or this girl has. How are we going to channel this anger to a fruitful anger? An anger that will yield positive result. Otherwise, it will waste. And not just only him or her will waste, it wastes other people around him or her. If they lead here, because one of the characteristics of cholerics also is to lead. They, just like we talked about sanguine the other time, I was talking about, they attract people. They talk well and people gather around them because they revolve around talking and making people happy, and the people move with them. The cholerics also talk like that, but not much as the sanguine. And their own action is too much. They want to go, they must go today. You want to stop them, you become the enemy. So that's how their own is. So we shouldn't, in a fellowship like this, you can use them to start a church. Because that anger in them, they see bush, they will clear it, and they will start church there. If you like, join me. If you don't like, join me. I will be here. Yes. You see, when this guy that talked to Esther before Esther said, if I perish, Mordecai, good. Fear that type of people. The wife of the king, no wahala, until Mordecai entered palace. He armed Esther, decorated Esther, making Esther look better than every other person. Esther won the heart of the king and the people around, and Esther became the wife. Vanessa, what was her name, left. Now, that same Mordecai was also going. He was a great man, but he would go and talk to Esther. When the other guy, Haman, began to pick the people of Israel and begin to deal with them, look at the statement that Mordecai made. He called Esther like this and said, you see what is happening to the people of Israel, and you are here in the palace enjoying yourself. Maybe God sent you here to help these people, and you don't want to help. Let me tell you something. Help may come from another source. Help may come from any other place. You will be Esther. Shame will kill you, because you are one of us and you are here enjoying and you don't want to help us. If somebody that you look at as your guy, who made you to reach this current position of a king, a queen, is the one who draw your ear like this at the backyard and say, you see, you are here, you don't want to help, and you think help will not come. No problem, help will come. That thing where you no one do and that person will do it. That's the interpretation of what is going to say. Esther said, if that is the case, I know this is between me now, my life, and the life of the Israel. So I will place my life now in the balance. That is when the statement of, if I perish, I perish. Esther was not supposed to go and see a king that night. Esther said, even though it's against the rules and regulations for me to go to the king unannounced, without being my own night, let me try it. So if a choleric is your leader, that's why I say if they want to die, they doesn't die alone, they die with other people around them, and it will gladden them. They are beating you, it will be sweeting, they will be happy doing you battle. They see your face, you are crying, it doesn't really pain them. I'm talking when you meet a choleric that is inborn. So that is why Esther has to make that statement. If I die this night, let it be. Because somebody is harming her from the corner. So that is about choleric, and I've taken a lot of time to talk about it. Then I want to take the next temperament, which is called the melancholy. You prepare your question for the choleric. We have talked about sanguine so much, so we will not continue to be dwelling on them. If you need to know more about the sanguine, we can revert back to that.
I want to ask you.
Okay, ask your question.
So my question is, like a mother that has many children. So is it this temperament that shows in the life of maybe you have 3 children? the people like Igbo people say, no fuchi, no funamor, no fuchi, oburo fuchi. Can it be? Can it call it temperament?
That help one select children.
That
or
is.
No, what you're trying to say is one of the dictums.
Okay, so is it the temperament that influences those things?
Yeah, because they are not temperament.
Good. The question is one of the most important questions we need in this type of thing. One person, just like I said before, one person gave birth to twins, and those twins have two different behaviors. Even in the way they score in exam, one particular subject is given to them. Let's say everything ended at 60, somebody is scoring 30, the other one may be scoring 25. But all of them were to arrive at this. It's like that. Temperament, there is no one particular, two people that has the same temperament. It's just like our fingerprints. The one we see physically is a fingerprint. They say your own, my own, everybody, including your children, even twins, they don't have the same. The same thing with the temperament. Your temperament is not the same with your mother, because it's a combination of mother, father of the father and the mother of your father, and the other ones that gave birth to them. So you see, when we just say two or the secondary, there's not even one person that has only two type of temperament. Just like I was talking, I say choleric and melancholic, and because there is still a part of sanguine in the person. So, so the other person may have these two, and there is part of melancholy again in the person, making that person different from the other person, and they are twins. So temperament distinguishes between children born by the same father and mother. Do you see how it is now? Then, when it comes to the behaviors, I talked about character. People do mistaken character for temperament. Character is the real you. Temperament is inside. Character is like what you use to display it out. The word of God that we are talking about will only help to influence the temperament, to make you to have a good character. When Saul was killing people bearing the name Saul, the temperament was also giving him a character of a good person in the eye of the Sadducees and the Pharisees. If he's here, they will call him and make him a king for job well done. When the word of God entered him, I think Acts chapter 9, he changed, began to bring out the good character of Christ in him. So temperament is hidden inside you. They say the innate trait is something you are born with. But character, one can be influenced by the people around him or her, and he pick up a character that is not the real of that person. But that is the one he will give us. Look at what happens when a good child go to school and now enter in a class where bad gangs, bad people are more than the good ones in that class. That child will end up smoking. That child will end up, if he has been reading his or her book very well, he will begin to be lazy, because the other people believe that whether I read or not. If I see what is happening now, school is a scam. Some are already saying that school is a scam. Most of them, they were not born to say this. Somebody came up with that idea and began to pass it to them. That is how character does. If you have a good character, you can use it to influence another person's character. But I say that there is nothing you will do to change temperament, but it can be controlled by the Spirit of God. The same way bad spirit, which this character now, a negative character, can also control it, and you begin to believe that wearing belt is a scam. What other idea of those Malians are pretending, and a lot of people are copying it because they saw a figure, a public figure they want to copy the character
A
of that
man
guy,
can put
a
earrings.
earring, but they are not copying temperament. That one is inside, and the own is like engine block. You can mold it to the way you want it using the type of character that comes your way. In our Christian or religious setting, we are calling it spirit. We are calling it spirit. Outside here, they will say character. The person is exposed with. I'm coming. That's why I mentioned the other time that you can go to learn trade as an apprentice with your good or whatever character you were at home with. Because of the type of person that trained you in that. I use the tailor for instance. If it's the type that believe that telling lie to make other customers keep quiet is the one you learn with, definitely you will be doing that when you get home. Except you have been installed inside you with good character of Christ, where the fear of Christ is in you. Even when the person is hiding under the table and telling you to say so, you know you may help to because it's your guy. But when you finish learning your work, you won't copy that, because the foundation of the Spirit of God that is controlling your temperament is already there, and that will make your character to be different from the character of the person you learn with. But character has a lot to do based on who we are staying with, the school in fact, the book we read, the type of TV we watch. They can influence a good character to become a bad character. Come up with a question.
It's not a question. It's concerning mommy's question. Mommy, I think her question is, if you have like 4 children, can their temperament be the same?
If you have like 4 children, can
Mommy,
the temperament of those 4 children be the
That
same?
temperament,
It can never. It can never be. Because I use twins even as close as twins are.
Let me, for example, in my family, we are 4.
Yes.
My elder brother and me, almost the same.
Where did you use almost?
Almost.
You for say it's the same.
Let's say maybe.
You copied him.
I did not.
I am coming. I know the 2 people that
I did not copy. We are almost the same person. And if you go to Chinala, 2 of them, the same.
Okay.
This one, they will stay together, discuss. But sometimes, Chinala will say, what we discuss, Uzochukwu did not do it.
Okay.
She will not call me because she knows Uzochukwu will not do it. But 2 of them, the same thing.
That almost. Almost.
So, I think,
All right. She's.
That is where that slogan you have
Comes in. They were trying to interpret temperament in the language. The same one God creates, but they come with different. Let's say what Celine Dion sang is a different faces, different names. I know the person that my wife is talking about. What she used without knowing she used it and just answered the question, or should I say explanation, is almost. 2 of them were together outside Nigeria. They were listening to now, but that Johnson Jam. Why were you people having clashes? If not that, when you are the same.
It's the same. So we cannot say
the 2 were not. In fact, people have to come in.
If you have the
So say to them, because you are the same.
Because you don't have to.
You see where clashes came in, because where you have your own differences, the other one wants you to be like that. That is where that clash came in. And you too, you don't want to, because you are having your own mission already. You want to accomplish. Do you see it now? And you mentioned the other 2 that they are two-headed. This is where they fall, the melancholy and the flag. They were two-headed. And they are still around now. They can stay together in the same, relate very well. And when you come in, the atmosphere will change. The same one. And when the other person that is outside Nigeria comes in, the same atmosphere will change. Then that one will be picking more hard on this one. He wants to bring this one down. This one say, won't bring me down. Because if he conquer this one, the room would be okay for him. The other 2 will be like, maybe not follow. So that is how it is. There is no way. Go and research it. There is no one, two people that have the same temperament. But you can come up with that word almost, and everybody still have where he or she has his own differences.
But when somebody has maybe a mixture of two temperaments,
yes,
and the other one has maybe one, there will be also a trait that is in this one,
yes,
that will be in this one,
yes,
that makes them think that they are the
the
same.
same.
But when the other one, when the other temperament in the other person tries to manifest,
The other one will come in.
no, it's not.
Instead
it's
of
not
complimenting,
Uh-huh.
you will see them having clashes. Come in with your question.
So the question which what I want to ask is totally different.
Okay, go ahead.
So you are talking about spirit control,
Temperament, yes.
temperament that we have those temperaments, and most times some of those temperaments are very like the cholerics. They are very high tempered than the rest of it.
Yes.
And we are trying to bring this in Christendom.
Yes, to work for the gospel of Christ.
For the gospel of Christ. So the question I'm asking is that if you go to the secular world, we have these people too with different temperaments.
Temperament, yes.
How is it that we as Christians we only say spirit control, and we have people who are secular, who are in the world,
yes,
who also has the same kind of temperament that we have?
Yes.
Because you were just saying there are people who might even in the world that have maybe melancholy, phlegmatic, and choleric, and you might have the same that you are in the church.
Yes. Yes.
So, and we see that sometimes they are more reliable.
Than the ones in church, more reliable than the church, that are even boasting of being controlled by the Spirit of God.
So who is controlling them? Which is it consciousness or is it them that are? How are they able to manage that? Why they don't even have the Spirit of God and we have the Spirit of God?
All right. Have you heard about the people they call humanists? Humanists. Now, have you also heard about those who believe in nature? Before the coming of the word of God, the Bible, there is this instinct, there is this law of nature that makes you know this is your fellow human being, I shouldn't kill him or her.